to Messy Christian Mamas. We are three Christian moms with a progressive mindset and loving hearts and minds. We are imperfect humans, but we're all loved in God's sight. At some point, we've all felt like the church and Christianity may not have been for us, but God isn't looking for perfection. He's just looking for you.
We are not experts in Christian theology, and we do not represent any particular Christian faith or church. We are simply here to be authentic, and we hope you join us on this journey.
Hello, welcome back to Messy Christian Mamas. This is Kendra.
This is Kaylee.
And this is Ashley.
We're so glad you're here. We have a fun topic today, and our own Ashley has prepared this for us. Ashley, you want to tell us about it?
Yes. Okay, so today's episode is about the flying monkeys of the Bible.
Ooh.
Okay, so at the end of the episode, I'm going to ask you guys if you think you've ever experienced flying monkeys in your life. And we're going to go over like the definition of what a flying monkey is and all of that.
It's like a little introvert preparation before you put us on the spot, right?
Yes.
Appreciated.
You're welcome. So I wanted to have a little disclaimer that we're going to use the N-word in this podcast, not the offensive N-word.
Oh, I was like, oh,
the trendy N-word.
Oh, I was like, my heart literally I was like,
I don't think we want to be that podcast.
This is not on brand.
No, the other N-word, narcissist. We're going to talk about narcissism, which is a very trendy word that people use a lot, and sometimes it's misused. So I just wanted to start with just a basic conversation about how narcissism, it's on a spectrum, that all people have narcissistic tendencies, but if it overtakes someone's personality, that's when they develop something called narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. And people with this disorder, or maybe not all the way to the NPD side of the spectrum, they engage in narcissistic abuse.
Okay.
And so other names for that are like emotional abuse, psychological abuse. It's really kind of all tied up together. And there are lots of different methods and modes that narcissists use to abuse people. One of the most painful and damaging is by using flying monkeys. And the reason why I came up with this episode was from watching Wicked.
Oh, okay.
Because there's this wonderful cinematography moment where Madame Morrible, like they just find out that like the wizard is evil, and Madame Morrible goes to the flying monkeys and she's like, Elphaba is the evil one. Go get her right now. You have to go with us. Go follow Elphaba. And then she turns around and she has this like a beautiful dress, and these monkeys like rear their wings up, and it's like super scary but beautiful.
Yeah,
but
It is a brilliant scene.
it really is. But Madame Morrible, like she is the ultimate flying monkey. That it's the wizard who's really doing all the terrible stuff. He's running the show. He's calling the shots. But Madame Morrible is doing his dirty work. And then two, flying monkeys are often people who you know, people that you trust, people you're bonded to. And that movie does a really great job of like Elphaba and Madame Morrible, that she trusts her. And so that betrayal is just like double whammy.
Cuts
like
so deep.
Yes, super painful.
And then she just moves that affection right over to Glinda, and Glinda's so traumatized in the moment that she just literally latches on because she's so scared and she doesn't know what to do, and she's always been a safe space for Elphaba, so she's like, oh well, obviously she's going to be a safe place for me. But if you know the story, freaking, you know, eventually she comes to
Spoilers.
I really
so
don't feel after 25 years there's any
The
spoilers
second
when it
movie
comes
is
to
not out
Wicked.
yet.
You know what? The book
Good abrupt
and
show.
the musical has been around for 20 years. I think we're good.
And it's so good. Such a great story. Okay, so here is a definition of a flying monkey. This is from the AI overview of the definition from Dr. Romani. So Dr. Romani is a YouTuber that has just tons and tons of videos about narcissism and different things about it. Okay, so it says, in the context of narcissistic abuse, flying monkeys are individuals who are manipulated by a narcissist to carry out their bidding or further their agenda. These individuals, who can be friends, family members, or even colleagues, unknowingly or knowingly act as messengers, spies, or even harass the narcissist's target. They essentially become enablers, helping the narcissist maintain control and inflict further harm. The term flying monkeys originates from the Wicked Witch of the West's winged monkeys in The Wizard of Oz, who were under her control and carried out her commands. In the narcissistic abuse context, they are individuals who are manipulated to serve the narcissist's needs, often by spreading misinformation, creating conflict, or isolating the victim. Okay, some key aspects of flying monkeys and narcissistic abuse. Manipulation. Narcissists are skilled manipulators who can easily enlist others to do their dirty work. Enablers. Flying monkeys enable the narcissist's behavior by supporting their narrative and actions, often without realizing the full extent of the abuse. And in my personal experience, that is definitely the case, that they don't know what they're doing. Targets. Flying monkeys are typically people who are close to both the narcissist and the target of their abuse. Consequences. The action of the flying monkeys can lead to further isolation, emotional distress, and even trauma for the victim. And we'll talk about personal experiences later, but yes, I've definitely felt this for sure. Here's a picture of Adam Warble.
Oh, we'll have to post that.
Okay, so some modern day examples of flying monkeys. Harry Potter has some really great flying monkeys in it. Like basically almost the whole series. But Voldemort, of course, is the narcissist.
Yeah,
right.
We got Bellatrix.
Dolores Umbridge is a really good one. That like she's kind of a puppet to the system.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Peter Pettigrew's a really good one because he was like one of the original of the best friends, and then he just like turned on it and just
the original
spy.
Minister of Magic too. When the series starts, I feel like who was denying that Voldemort was responsible for Cedric Diggory's death. I can't remember which one he was, but no. I don't remember.
It's been really fascinating rereading Harry Potter as an adult.
Yeah, isn't it?
And like understanding like the dynamics so much more. Like
The
new
new
it's
ones
really great.
is so crazy. I'm so excited about the series.
But like these people all seem like kind of like mustache twirling villains, right? Whereas it sounds like flying monkeys aren't always that way.
Yeah, like the flying monkeys, like I said, I think a lot of times they really don't know. They don't know what they're doing.
I think you look at so like Draco in that point. He's doing it because he just wants to make his parents proud. He's doing it because he's been groomed to like that's what. But he eventually realizes that he eventually sees the light and eventually realizes that what it was. That he's following the wrong person and that he's doing wrong. And he never fully recovers from it. Like he never fully turns away, but you kind of do see the glimmer in him. But for the longest time, he was a tool of. And then you have, I guess, like a flying monkey who turned out not to be a flying monkey, which was Snape. So it's just that's such a great like. Now I'm gonna be read like every book I read. I'm gonna be like, where are
the flying monkeys.
Right.
Disney a lot of times has flying monkeys for their villains.
Oh yeah, the sidekick.
So like Ursula and her eels, Scar and the hyenas.
LeFou.
Who's the? I don't know who that is.
Beauty and the Beast. Gaston.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah, I feel like he's a good one because he doesn't understand what he's doing.
No.
Because so many of these others, I feel like, are in the know.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes they do know. Like, sometimes it's people who are allies to the narcissist, and they just have the same set of values, and they go along with the same kind of things.
And they're willing to manipulate because of that. Okay.
Yeah, and really when you get down to, like, the bare bones of a narcissist, it's just a bully. It's someone who bullies. If you think about, like, the playground bully, sometimes they had a best friend who also loved to bully, Yeah. And sometimes it was people...
Well, usually they didn't do it on their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
George.
Mm-hmm. So, some examples from the Bible. This was harder than I thought it was going to be. But...
Sure.
Yeah. I came up with 3. All right, so the first one is the story of Jezebel and Ahab. Okay, so here is the AI overview of that story. So Ahab, the king of Israel, and Jezebel, his Phoenician wife, are prominent figures in the Hebrew Bible, known for their complex relationship and impact on Israel's religious and political landscape. Ahab, while depicted as a weak ruler, is portrayed as being easily swayed by Jezebel. who actively promoted the worship of the pagan god Baal. Am I saying that right? Okay. Jezebel, in turn, is depicted as the strong-willed and ruthless queen who persecuted Yahweh's prophets and supported Baal worship. Their story is one of religious conflict, political intrigue, and ultimately tragic consequences. So a little bit more about that. Ahab's weakness and Jezebel's influence. Ahab, despite being king, is often portrayed as weak and easily manipulated, especially by Jezebel.
Yeah.
Jezebel, coming from a background of Baal worship, aggressively promoted her religion in Israel, leading to a clash with the established worship of Yahweh. Religious conflict. Jezebel's actions led to the persecution of Yahweh's prophets. While she supported her own prophet of Baal, this religious conflict was a major point of contention during their reign. Political intrigue. The story of Naboth's vineyard highlights Jezebel's ruthlessness. She orchestrated Naboth's death to acquire his vineyard for Ahab, demonstrating her willingness to use any means to achieve her goals. Prophecies and consequences. Elijah, a prophet of Yahweh, prophesied against Ahab and Jezebel, predicting their downfall and the destruction of their dynasty. These prophecies were fulfilled with both Ahab and Jezebel meeting tragic ends, which was Jezebel's death, and particularly notable as she awaited the arrival of Jehu, who was coming. Did I say it right? Jehu.
Sure.
Oh no. Okay.
It's a drinking game, so
Right.
just say, yep, that's how you say it.
Someone who actually knows how to say it was like, I'm going to be so drunk at the end of this episode.
All right, yep. So he was coming to overthrow the dynasty. She dressed in her royal attire and waited. Jehu had her thrown from a window, and she was subsequently devoured by dogs,
Oh my god.
fulfilling Elijah's prophecy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so the lasting legacy, the story of Ahab and
Game of
Jezebel.
Thrones. It's very Game of Thrones.
Yes,
It's
it
very
is.
Game of Thrones.
So it serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of idolatry, the consequences of unchecked power, and the importance of faithfulness to God.
Yeah.
So Ahab would be the flying
The
monkey.
flying
in
monkey.
that one.
So we need to do like a whole episode about Jezebel.
We do.
About the term
and,
Jezebel.
And like Jezebels. Yeah, for sure.
Because like
It's
I take
such a pop culture thing.
really, and I take any story about a powerful woman with a big grain of salt, you know.
Yeah.
But this does bring up a good point that with narcissism, it can be a woman or a man. In our society, a lot of times the men are more successful with narcissistic abuse because of our patriarchal society. But yeah, it can definitely be a man or a woman.
And a lot of times it's like using the woman's sexual appeal is how she tends to manipulate people, which is such a Jezebelian
Right.
technique.
Right.
Well, I
like
think it's
it.
just. I think with girls, like I think it's younger women that tend to have these more like you look at like middle school girls, high school girls, like college age, where they, they're using popularity. They're using.
Yeah.
That's where like you see these mean girls, you see the bullying, you see the narcissism, and I think if that goes unchecked, then that is what leads to someone being a narcissistic adult.
Which is what makes middle school and high school so difficult.
So difficult. And I
Right.
think like it's one of these things where everybody, like I don't promote bullying at all, but everyone needs to be knocked down a peg or two when they're in middle school and high school. If you're gonna get knocked down, I'm not talking about like out and out bullying, but like
But it makes for
just
good
have
character.
like just have like someone call you out on your shit, and like in high school when you can still change and everything like that. I think that's where the successful standing up to bullies happens, because I think the older you get, the harder it is to convince someone that they're wrong, because they're so ingrained in this personality at that point, and they have so many yes people around them that the one prophet that's coming to them saying what you're wrong and you're evil and what you're doing is manipulative and narcissistic and wrong, and they have all these people around them being like that person's crazy. They're gaslighting you. They don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
Whereas when you're younger, I think you're still open to that.
And there's not like
Change.
a lot of ton of data on how narcissists are made, like whether it's nature or nurture. I suspect it's probably a little bit of both. But yeah, there's not a lot of real scientific data about it. It's more just observational, unfortunately.
Sure.
All right, so the second story might be a little bit of a stretch, is David and Goliath.
Okay.
And the narcissist would be like the Philistines.
Oh, okay.
So the biblical story of David and Goliath tells of a young shepherd David who defeats the Philistine giant Goliath. Philistine, sorry. Who was terrorizing... Yeah, right. And he was terrorizing the Israelites. So Goliath, a formidable warrior, challenged the Israelite army to send a champion to fight him. But none dared to face him. David, confident in God's power, accepted the challenge using a sling and a stone to strike Goliath in the forehead, killing him. This victory not only saved the Israelites, but also established David as a hero and the future king. So the challenge, the Philistines, enemies of the Israelites, had a champion named Goliath, a giant who stood over 9 feet tall. He taunted the Israelite army daily, challenging them to send someone to fight him. So I did want to bring up, too, that another thing narcissists do is something called triangulation. They often, with their flying monkeys, try to pit them against each other and try to get people to fight. So this is an example of that.
So they try to get their flying monkeys to fight each other?
They do. They love conflict.
Okay.
So flying monkeys...
For the sake of entertainment? For the sake...
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, mostly, like, the flying monkey, too, would be sent to, like, start drama and chaos with the target. But, yeah.
So disturbing.
Yeah. David's faith. David, a young shepherd boy, arrived at the battlefield to bring supplies to his brothers in the army. He heard Goliath's insults and was outraged that no one was standing up to him, especially since he was mocking God. David volunteered to fight Goliath, trusting that God would give him the victory. So all those things about, like, people thinking about bullies in the playground again, like, no one wants to stand up to them, they're mocking people, sort of taking on, like, the behaviors of the narcissist. The battle. David, armed with only a sling and 5 smooth stones, approached Goliath. Goliath, armed with traditional weapons, scoffed at David's youth and perceived lack of strength. David, however, trusted in God and released a stone from his sling, hitting Goliath in the forehead. So this is a point I'm going to get to at the end, but if you're dealing with flying monkeys, like, trusting in God is really all you can do. Yeah. But it's a powerful thing to trust in God. And any thoughts about that one?
I feel like sometimes it probably is easier to stand up to the flying monkey before standing up to the main aggressor.
The narcissist is the final boss in a video game.
Yeah, I think like it's the final level that you hit in the game. And I think like I think that can sometimes be enough for people, and I think sometimes that might just create a false sense of accomplishment. Like, well, I managed to overcome this person, but unfortunately the problem is still there, and they do have a tendency of just creating more.
Yeah. And
so you're having to kind of get through all of the pawns before you can declare checkmate, and that can be really exhausting and difficult.
Yeah. And in my experience too, for the flying monkeys that don't know they're doing it, that they're doing it unwillingly, that it doesn't really matter if you try to talk to them anyway. So really the best thing is to try to, like, limit contact with anyone who is that way.
Just
if you
create
can.
a new circle, basically, right?
Yeah. Okay, and the last flying monkey story is Judas Iscariot. So to me, I think he's the ultimate flying monkey. So Judas was one of the 12 apostles. He was one of the closest friends to Jesus. And that's like when the flying monkey is like so painful, is when, like, it's someone that you know and they betray you. So he betrays Jesus to the religious authorities. They agree to pay him 30 pieces of silver for doing so. Now, Judas went to them, but I do think that he was probably just swayed by power, swayed by money, maybe swayed by people that were the group that was in power at the time. So the Pharisees would be the narcissist, and Judas is the flying monkey.
I think he also thought he can handle himself. Like, I think there was a kernel of him that was like, well, if he really is God, then he'll pull himself out of this, and then it'll prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt that, it won't matter that I betrayed him, because then it will prove that he's he's God, and it's, just justifying a really poor decision.
Yeah,
Right.
that's more, I think, where I'm at with Judas Iscariot. Well, I also think that it was all part of God's plan all along, and Jesus knew all along, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I've actually
for
got
us
some.
to know.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've
Sorry.
got something about the motivation.
Go
Yeah. So it says Jesus knew that Judas was going to do this, but he took no action to stop him.
Yep.
Judas led soldiers to the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus was praying. Judas kissed Jesus to identify him. And then afterwards, according to Matthew's gospel, Judas regretted his actions, returned the money, and hanged himself.
Yeah.
All right, so the AI overview of Judas's motives for betrayal. So like we were kind of saying before with flying monkeys, like sometimes it's knowingly, sometimes it's unknowingly. So motives can be really different. So I think in real life, like some of the motives are just that like they found companionship with a narcissist. It makes them feel a little bit powerful to be doing something like this. Sometimes they just are just being manipulated and going along with it and just like not really knowing. Okay, so Judas's motives for betraying Jesus are complex and multifaceted with no single universally agreed upon explanation.
Yeah.
While some accounts emphasize greed as a primary motivator, others point to disillusionment with Jesus' mission or even a misguided attempt to force Jesus' hand to establish his kingdom.
Yeah, that's more where my camp.
Some also suggest a spiritual element with Satan's influence playing a role. So maybe Satan's the narcissist. Here's a breakdown of the common explanations. So greed. The Gospel of Matthew explicitly states that Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. This is the most straightforward and commonly cited reason, suggesting Judas's avarice led him to betray his teacher for financial gain. Disillusionment. Some scholars suggest that Judas, along with many others at the time, expected the Messiah to establish an earthly kingdom and overthrow Roman rule. When Jesus' actions and teachings indicated a different kind of kingdom, one not based on political power, Judas may have become disillusioned and felt betrayed by Jesus' lack of ambition.
I mean, I think those are two very common reasons that exist today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is money
and power.
Yeah, money and disillusionment of power. Like, I think there's so many examples today where you can pinpoint those two things as being the reason why a person turns.
For sure. Yep. Spiritual influence. The Gospels of Luke and John suggest that Satan played a role in Judas's betrayal, potentially by tempting or possessing him. This perspective adds a layer of spiritual warfare to the event, suggesting that Judas was not solely responsible for his actions. Attempt to force Jesus' hand. Some theories propose that Judas, believing in Jesus' divine power, might have thought that by betraying him, he could force Jesus to reveal his true power and establish his kingdom, perhaps even leading to a revolt against the Romans. So a combination of factors, it's likely that Judas's betrayal was not driven by a single motive, but rather a combination of greed, disillusionment, and perhaps even a misguided desire to see Jesus' true power revealed.
Yeah. I don't know about greed. 30 pieces of silver really wasn't.
Not that much.
I mean, back then, like, I can't remember how much they say that it is equivalent to today, but it's really not that much. And to, like, betray Jesus, his teacher, who, I don't know, it's not a lot. It wouldn't have gotten him very far.
Right. Okay, so here's my question.
Yeah.
Have you dealt with flying monkeys in your life? Or we could think of like, I can think of some flying monkeys right now in society.
Yes. Can I give you another Bible story, I think, where there's
Yes.
a flying monkey? So I think in the story of John the Baptist, when he was beheaded, I think that Herod Antipas, whatever, drink. I think he was a flying monkey. And I think that, his wife, Herodias, that's what his wife's name was. I think she was the narcissist in this situation, because John the Baptist was saying that it was evil and sinful that Herod Antipas and Antipas, and Herodias were married, because she had been married to Herod Antipas's brother, and then they got together, and so John the Baptist was calling them on it. And she did not care for that. She did not like having her name in his mouth.
Right.
And so she had her daughter learn this very intricate dance, Salome, and dance before Herod Antipas, and then was granted a wish and set her daughter up to say that she wanted John the Baptist beheaded.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I feel like Herodias was really pulling the strings for Herod Antipas as well as Salome. Salome and Herod Antipas both weren't really aware of how they were being used. Right? But yeah, it's interesting to think about how flying monkeys exist throughout the Bible and how they've been used.
I think the story of Delilah and Samson.
Oh, sure.
That was what I came across.
Delilah's one who knew what she was doing,
Yeah.
but wasn't the original villain in that story. She didn't come up with these ideas on her own. They were whispered into her ear and everything. So I think she would be
A flying monkey?
major.
It's hard to say at what point
monkey.
she had, because she could be the narcissist in some ways too.
Well, I think sometimes the flying monkey can overpower the master. Like, I feel like sometimes they can break off and start their own little their own little group, their own little tribe.
Right? I mean, cults are such a prime example,
Absolutely.
I think, of flying monkeys, right?
Absolutely. And I'm certain, too, there are probably stories in the Bible of, like, the villain, and there are probably flying monkeys that are just not mentioned by name.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think in my life where, I don't want to go into that story, but sorry. But yeah, I think sometimes in church culture that can exist too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
I always say when people who don't have much control over their own lives join in church.
That's funny. Oh, man.
Where they know they can.
Right.
But yeah, I think where else in my life have I encountered flying monkeys? My step siblings growing up were flying monkeys for my stepmother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a wretched situation. It was pretty bad. And I would even say, to some degree, my dad was a flying monkey at times for her and didn't know it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
I'm sure I'd probably been a flying monkey several times and didn't know it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm sure in the workplace, I know I've encountered many flying monkeys through my marketing career, for sure.
Well, as teachers, Lord.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes, I
yeah.
can think of so many examples of that happen.
There's a whole system of...
Right. It's like set up that way. Right.
Just whizzing in and out of your classroom on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Right.
You're just like... You do realize the wizard has never actually even taught elementary school.
So what about children as flying monkeys?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot,
I think,
right?
Yeah, I think they're so
easily
manipulated.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
Well, for me, my most poignant example of flying monkeys was in my divorce. That there were several people that wrote affidavits against me. It was like 6 or 7. It was a lot.
Oh my gosh.
And
this.
it was people that I really trusted and people that I felt like I had the strongest bond with. And I think that's why they were chosen to write those affidavits. And it was just really, really painful because it was already a painful situation, but it was like a double whammy. It was like, and all these people that you thought cared about you, they don't, And now I encounter a lot of people, especially through like children's activities that are strangers to me. They really don't know me at all, but they have all these ideas of like who I am and what I do.
Oh,
and so like they're new flying monkeys, so it's not as painful because I don't really know these people as much. But it's still painful that the possibility of creating positive relationships within my kids' activities dwindles a little bit because of a situation that I'm in.
Ugh,
Yeah. So it's frustrating.
that is frustrating.
But, yeah. Life goes on.
Yeah, it does. And you created a new circle.
I did. Absolutely. And this brings to a good closing. I found, like, through that really difficult experience that really trusting in God was the only way.
Yeah.
And even though it was the only way, it gave me so much strength and so much, like, inner power that, like, it didn't really matter what was happening outside of me, that, like, I had this inner strength that I'm gonna keep going forever. You know? Like, yeah.
There was the church situation that I brought up. You guys know the story, which I'm not going to go into here, but was dealing with my family's reputations being really blasted to a lot of people.
And it's called a smear campaign.
Yep, definitely a smear campaign happening.
Yeah.
And it was so heartbreaking, and I wanted to pull out my whole bag of tricks that I'd learned from office politics throughout my career, and I just felt God calling me to shut the fuck up.
Be still.
Yeah, just shut up.
Right.
Keep your mouth closed.
What's in the dark will
Vengeance
come to
is
light.
mine. Vengeance is mine. It's not yours.
Yeah.
That's not what you want. You want something more.
I love it.
Yeah. And through the course of shutting up, then I realized I didn't really care anymore, which is
great.
Yeah,
Which is like a strengthening, powerful thing.
It is. I mean, if I really think about it too much, then of course I'll be like, man, I don't like that person very much. They're not cool. I don't like
Nobody
them.
likes being disliked. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Right.
I think there are people out there who enjoy creating conflict and creating drama,
Yeah.
and like when they see the hate comments and everything, they get a false sense of power and you know it enlivens them. But like no normal person wants to know that there's someone out there that hates you,
Right.
and like
Right.
doesn't like you, especially if they don't know the truth of the situation.
Yeah.
Like nobody likes that. But I think at some point you do have to kind of like step back and say, okay, how much energy am I going to give this? How much power am I going to give this person to have this hold over me?
Yeah.
To where they're renting headspace for free. Like I'm letting them live and fester in me for free. I'm not charging them any rent or anything. Why am I doing that? They're not bringing anything to my life. They're not paying my paycheck. They're not eating dinner with me.
Right.
You know, they're not my emergency contact list.
Yeah.
So I have to eventually, evict them.
Well, it's strange. I feel like in this specific case, they weren't coming after me as hard as they were my husband, and that really made me want to fight so much more.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And it's part of a survival mechanism to, like, we try to not care about it, but it's a survival mechanism to, like, seek connection with people. And so when you're being discarded, when you're being, like, not included, then it hurts, as much as we want it to not feel it. Like, you're still going to feel it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, strength in God.
Yep.
I think God opens those other connections for you.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so one more thought about flying monkeys in our current political situation. We just came out from a weekend where there were a ton of protests, and I think that ICE, I think they're flying monkeys right now.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah. And Kendra has a TikTok for us about
On
flying monkeys.
on a lighter note, or maybe not, it's from TikTok and some messy Christian drama for us. So I'm gonna play the story and then we can talk about it.
It's been 7 days since I found out that my husband actually has a child with our neighbor. I came home to find my husband's classic car had been completely smashed, vandalized with a baseball bat by my neighbor's husband, because he found out that the child that he thought was his for the last 4 years, including the pregnancy, was actually not his, that biologically it is my husband's child because they were having an affair. Apparently, he's always had suspicions that, like, she was doing something with someone. He didn't put 2 and 2 together, apparently, until after the baby was born, and he is a much darker skin tone man. this child is very fair skinned and has red hair. I'm going to let you guess who also has red hair. I guess he was on to them and he found messages. He also found them talking about covering something up, and he decided to have a DNA test done, found out that that was not his daughter, and then was on a mission to figure out like what was actually going on and who she was seeing, his wife. I'm not sure how they got my husband to do the DNA test. I just know he's had suspicions that she was cheating. The child doesn't look like him, and the child resembles my husband, especially as she's gotten older. She has favored him even more. So, I mean, it makes sense, and maybe he put two and two together because we literally babysat this child. Like, we hung out. Like, we were friends. My husband actually took her husband golfing very fucking often, y'all. Like, this is like, we all lived in very close quarters. Her husband has since left her and the child in the house. He actually left, you know what I'm saying, and like left them in their space, even though he did nothing wrong. It's a woman and child. He did what he felt was right, and like he also smashed my husband's car, which I understand. Like I physically want to do that. My husband is supposed to come back from his business trip tonight. He lands at like 10 o'clock, and he says that he is going to stay at a hotel room to try to, let me blow off some steam and think it over. He's supposed to be served with papers whenever he gets back, so we'll see how that actually ends up going, because he's not going to like that. He's been like going through the motions even since, like just back and forth. Like 1 minute he's like, we can work through this. Like I know he can be better. Then he starts saying that he knows that I can be better, because he just keeps loving to bring up the fact that like it's my fault too. It's my fault too because I wasn't taking care of my wifely duties. Says the same man who like literally won't let me just even be a person without him. If you're a man and you won't allow a woman to express herself in the bedroom, I'm not asking for anything crazy, but like anything that I had found that I like to do, whether it be something that vibrates or us taking spicy cubes, he literally shunned me for it and made me feel stupid. So like, why would you think that like, of course after a while, like I'm not gonna want to be as intimate as before, like, you know what I'm saying? And it really doesn't matter, because I found out that they've been doing this before things went south with us. Like, I'm not gonna lie, things did become like less intimate, not gonna lie, because of how he treats me and my family and my friends, and isolating me from people. So like, of course it's gonna be an issue, but I still don't think, like, even if I was giving you nothing, I still don't think that's a good enough reason to cheat on someone. Like, but he had been cheating well before the problem started, and there was zero communication, and I don't think that she's the only woman. I don't. He's constantly away on business. He's a wealthy man. He's good looking. He's charismatic. Like, don't get me wrong, there are reasons why I married him. I'm just curious if tonight he's actually going to go to a hotel, because like with his mood swings, he's been back and forth with we can work it out, or I bet you're with other men, or girl, just like your sister, because my sister was going to fly in and stay with me, and I just don't think that's a good idea. The last time he saw her, he screamed and called her because she bought me some spicy cubes. So I just don't know if that's such a good idea. She doesn't really care, but I'm like, I don't know. I found another place to stay here in town though, so I guess we'll see how this works out. I don't really know what I'm gonna do, if I should stay here or if I should just like move somewhere else, like where it's too far for him to mess with me. It's been 7 days since
All right. So, what do we think? I'm clearly a narcissist.
Yeah, and all those things, like people who do develop NPD, they have a very predictable playbook of how they act, and all of that is very predictable about being wealthy, being good looking, being powerful, charismatic. Isolating people. There's really like a playbook of it.
This user's name is wants spicy with 3 Ys.
I guess she just.
So,
I don't even know what that is. I don't want to know what spicy cubes are.
I'm sure there's some kind of like makes you feel like you want to have some fun in there, whatever it is.
But yeah, it's usually like this double
Viagra
life.
for ladies. Kaylee, you know, don't you?
I do know.
I know. You don't want to know.
Well, you know what I'm getting actually for her birthday.
But yeah, there's usually like this double life behavior. And the betrayal always comes out eventually. But yeah.
I just hate that. It just drives me crazy. And I think, like, it's so easy for me to say it drives me crazy because I'm a single woman. I've never allowed myself to get to this point. But it just drives me crazy when I hear that my dissatisfaction started 5 years ago. My intuition that this was going south was 4 years ago. And then it took the betrayal to take the step to get divorced. And I'm just like, it drives me crazy that women feel like some women feel that they have to wait until they have this big reason to leave, and they don't feel like they have the power to leave when they're just not happy. Men get to leave all the time. When obviously, when they're not happy.
It's a big double standard.
And so,
I wish our society wasn't like that.
And the fact that women, like, you hear it over and over and over again, like, well, I just couldn't afford to leave, or I was afraid to leave, or I wasn't happy, and then
or society tells you stick it out because there's hills and valleys, which is true, but
messed
like
up in order to escape, and I'm just like, it drives me insane that we live in that society where women who are dissatisfied in their marriages have to wait until there's a legal excuse.
Right, but also this should bring up a good point that, like, when you are in an abusive relationship, first of all, it usually takes people 7 tries to leave. That they leave and come back, and they leave and come back, and it's a psychological thing. And there's lots of reasons for why that happens. But, like, once you make the decision to finally leave, like, you really have to walk through fire, and you have to prepare yourself to walk through fire. And a lot of times the abuse doesn't stop anyway. Yeah. So it's like, it's choose your hard. Choose your hard, like, especially like when kids are involved. It's like, are you going to stay there and like be there to protect your kids and be miserable? Or are you going to like walk through fire and like lose everything and still be abused and like still have that chance of being abused afterwards anyway. Yeah. So it's like, it's not an easy thing. It's not just like, oh, I'm miserable, I'm going to get divorced.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying when you hear things like this, where the woman is literally on TikTok saying, well, I've not been happy for 5 years.
But she's been isolated. She's been like,
but she hasn't also said anything about trying to leave or doing anything to leave. And that's my problem, is that she didn't feel like she had the right to, that she didn't feel like she had the support to, because I guarantee that there's family and friends watching that are so frustrated, who would have been willing,
who were ready on the other side,
who saw her being isolated, who saw her this starting to happen. I haven't had to deal with it. I see my friends start to go through it, and I'm like, when you're ready, let me know. Yeah. Like, a lot of the times, like, these women don't have to go through it on their own. So that's why we have things like battered women's shelters.
But a lot of times they do. A lot of times the reason why they're even in an abusive relationship is because they didn't have a great support system to begin with. And a lot of times a narcissist is so charismatic, they win over the woman's family. It happened with me, it happened with my friends and family. Like the whole flying monkey conversation, that like, that's what I'm talking about, is people that like were my support system were yanked away, you know? So it's just not, it's not an easy thing.
I don't know. I just have a big problem with hearing, I think it's these 3-minute clips it just bugs me. It bugs the living crap out of me, because like, I want to have I want to be fully supportive of you. I want to be completely on your side. And so when I start to hear that you've been thinking about this for 5 years, and you've had your suspicions for 5 years, and it took the neighbor husband figuring it all out, everything, it's just frustrating that, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be able to say anything that won't piss a bunch of people off. So
no, I hear you, but I think you have a really good, stable foundation.
But I don't.
But you do. Your parents, your family.
Yeah, my parents and family. But I isolated myself from all of that.
Oh, for sure.
So the fact that I have been through an isolating situation, and I literally knew my family and friends were on the other side waiting for me to just reach out my hand for help. And I think it's very frustrating for me when I've had friends who later then turn around and say, well, we were going through something and nobody was there for me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've been here the entire time, and I make it very vocal that I've been here the entire. I'm one person, and I get that, but I can find help for you. I can find, like, that is what I'm here to do. I didn't go through what I went through, so I can leave other people in their pits. If anything, you should be able to look at me and be like, well, if Kaylee can come on the other side of that and still have to deal with, you want to talk about a story hitting close to home? This one hits pretty close to home. So to have people throw that language and stuff around, like, I get it. But you know what? You just have to, I understand picking your heart, but nobody should live a life of misery. That's not what God put us on here for. So you want to talk about choosing faith and having faith in God then that's where you need to start having some faith.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I do feel like when you're in an abusive relationship, personally, I think you should get out, but it's a super hard decision, and the timing of that is different for every person, and it really depends on, like, if they can even get themselves in a situation where they can get out. Like, a lot of times it's stay-at-home moms who, like, they don't have a work, they don't have a place to go, they've been, like, moved to across the country, you know, so the timing sometimes, and sometimes people do plan for like 3, 4, 5 years before they are in a situation financially and emotionally stable enough to get out. So,
or just self-worth too. It's a big one too.
Getting into therapy. Yeah, so it's just really different for every person.
I hear you. I do think it's a really good you provide a really good perspective, Kaylee.
Yeah. It's frustrating. It's like society is frustrating.
I wish every woman out there had a Kaylee.
Right. Okay, so to finish up, I have a psalm that I think really speaks to flying monkeys and how to deal with flying monkeys. So it's Psalm 55. It says, "Listen to my prayer, O God. Do not ignore my plea. Hear me and answer me. My thoughts trouble me, and I am distraught because of what my enemy is saying, because of the threats of the wicked. For they bring down suffering on me and assail me in their anger. My heart is in anguish within me. The terrors of death have fallen on me. Fear and trembling have beset me. Horror has overwhelmed me. I said, oh, that I had the wings of a dove. I would fly away and be at rest. I would flee far away and stay in the desert. I would hurry to my place of shelter, far from the tempest and storm. Lord, confuse the wicked, confound their words, for I see violence and strife in the city. Day and night they prowl about on its walls. Malice and abuse are within it. Destructive forces are at work in the city. Threats and lies never leave its streets. If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If a foe were rising against me, I could hide. But it is you, a man like myself, my companion, my close friend, with whom I once enjoyed sweet fellowship at the house of God, as we walked about among the worshipers. Let death take away my enemies by surprise. Let them go down alive to the realm of the dead, for evil finds lodging among them. As for me, I call to God, and the Lord saves me. Evening, morning, and noon, I cry out in distress, and he hears my voice. He rescues me unharmed from the battle waged against me, even though many oppose me. God, who is enthroned of old, who does not change, he will hear them and humble them, because they have no fear of God. My companion attacks his friends. He violates his covenant. His talk is smooth as butter, yet war is in his heart. His words are more soothing than oil, yet they are drawn swords. Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken, but you, God, will bring down the wicked into the pit of decay. The bloodthirsty and deceitful will not live out half their days, but as for me, I trust in you.
Yeah, that reminds me, that's like Job, like Jeremiah, like so many of those books. Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
A lamentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to close with a prayer?
I think that was a pretty good one.
That was a pretty good one.
Amen. Okay. All right.
Bye.
listening to this episode of Messy Christian Mamas. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, embrace the mess, share the love, and shine your light bright, my friends.